Hi, I'm Matthias. One very prominent chord progression in popular music is the 1-5 minor 6-4 sequence. Once you learn this in several different keys, you can play a ton of songs. But in approaching a chord progression with guitaristic chords in mind, we can end up limiting ourselves to only root position chords played in the lower area of the fretboard. One concept that's been around for a few decades is the cage sequence. This takes 5 open position chords and shifts their shape up the fretboard. While this is great, it still focuses on only root position chords, and it's a device drawn from the physical attributes of the guitar, rather than harmony and musical structure. What I'm doing in this lesson is taking that famous 1-5 minor 6-4 progression, and rather than use all root position chords, I'm going to simplify these using different inversions all over the neck, but just on the top 4 strings. This will help increase fretboard knowledge as well as open up your ears to new possibilities. I'll be playing in the key of A, so the chord progression will be A, E, F sharp minor, and D. So these standard root position chords, you probably know. We have our A major, this is our 1 chord. E major, which is our 5 chord. F sharp minor, that's our minor 6 chord. And then D, that's our 4 chord. They sound great, full and rich. The only thing is, because there are these root position chords that we learn at the very beginning of playing the guitar, it's easy to get stuck in just playing in this area. So I'm going to show you a few other examples of how to shift these chords up the neck. Here what I'm doing is I'm taking an A chord, and my 3rd finger is at the 7th fret, 2nd finger is at the 6th, and I'm barring at the 5th. This is a root position A chord, meaning that the letter name of the chord, the A, that's my lowest sounding note. It's in the bass. Now, what I want to do is move to my 5 chord. I want to move to the E chord with as little motion as possible, meaning I don't want a huge shift. So what I'm going to do is actually move to this shape right here. And what I'm doing with this shape is I'm putting a G sharp in the bass. That's the 3rd of the E chord. So I'm going from a root position A to an E chord right here with a 3rd in the bass. And the fancy term for this would be called first inversion. If you get a copy of my guitar method, this is a form 2 chord. So root position form 1, and this is a form 2 shape. Okay, next I want to go to the F sharp minor. So the closest one there is simply moving back up to the 7th fret, and then I've got a minor shape that you might not be used to, but I'm using my 3rd, 2nd, 4th, and then 1st finger. This gives me an F sharp minor with an A in the bass. So I have root position A, form 1, then I go to E, this is a form 2, and then F sharp minor, because I have the 3rd in the bass, we'll also call this a form 2 chord or first inversion. And then the last chord is going to be a D chord. I'm going to keep that bass note of A. I'm just going to change the fingering. And this, because I'm now going to have a 5th in the bass, this we'll call a form 3 chord or 2nd inversion. So we have root position, form 1, form 2, form 2 again, but minor, and then moving to a form 3. Here I'm starting with an A chord again, but with the shape that I have, which is what I'm calling form 2 or first inversion, I have the third of the chord in the bass. I have a C sharp. This is right here at the 11th fret, so I'm at 11, 10, 9th fret right here. So this is my A chord. Now what I want to do again is keep as many common tones as possible. What I'm going to do, shifting to my E chord, is I'm going to move back to the 9th fret, get 2, 3, and 4 right in there, and then get the high B right there, the 7th fret. This E chord puts a B in the bass. So that's the 5th of the chord. This is going to make it a form 3 chord, or second inversion. Then my F sharp minor, I'm going to shift back up to the 11th fret. I'm going to get a C sharp in the bass. That's the 5th of the chord. So this is a minor chord, form 3, or second inversion. And then, just sliding up to the 12th fret, back to our form 1 major chord for D. So I have A, form 2, E, form 3, F sharp minor, form 3, and then D, form 1. Now, as we've gotten all the way up here on the neck, this sounds very, very different than playing either the full open position chords or even in example 1. What's great about this is, if you're playing with another guitarist, one of you can play chords in the lower position, while one of you plays chords in a higher position. And what that helps to do is fill out the sound. It makes a much more brilliant sound because you have the low, rich tones as well as the high, very bright tones. If both of you are playing the same chords in the same position, you're not taking advantage of the full spectrum. Here I'm starting with an A chord, but I have an E in the bass. That's the 5th of the chord, so this is a major form 3 chord, or second inversion. Then I'm going to my E chord. Because I have an E in the bass, this is root position, so we can call this form 1. Then F sharp minor. I'm going to have an F sharp in the bass, so this is a form 1 minor chord. And then a simple transition from the F sharp minor to the D, keeping with the same pattern of chords and shapes, is I'm just going to put my second finger down on D. That will give me a D with an F sharp in the bass, which is a first inversion chord, or form 2. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Understanding how to use different chord voicings can really open up your playing. To get the absolute basics of how these chord forms interact with each other, check out my beginning guitar method, which is available in the Apple iBook store. I'm Matthias. Now go forth and rock.
FreeGuitarVideos.com